Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Black Manta issue number 1. Yeah, they actually did a series about Black Manta. I can see a one shot here and there, but a series, like 6 issue limited series, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that's such a great idea. And I read this first issue, I'm like, this was actually really good, and maybe it should go past 6 issues. I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. Now, I haven't seen issues, so if you're seeing this in like, a year and you're like, that was voted the worst series ever. Okay, cool. I only read the first issue and I really liked the first issue. There's a lot of stuff in here that worked really, really well, maybe too well. We're going to get into all that good stuff. Also, why Black Manta is one of those few characters who you can actually make a series about, even though he's a villain. Let's get talking about that. First credit where credit's due. This issue is called Assassin of the Sea. Chuck Brown is the writer. Valentino Delandro is the artist and does the cover. Marissa Luis does the colors, and Clayton Cowles on letters. Sanford Green does the variant cover. There's 2 variant covers, though, aren't there? So I wonder why just it says but that, whatever. You know what? Let's move on. So a lot of things happen here. Now, obviously, there's some things in here that I read that I'm like, I should have read that 80th anniversary Aquaman issue that come out recently. I didn't. I should. I probably will go back and skim through. I'm not going to do a review about it unless there's something amazing in there. But for the most part, I'm probably not going to go back and do a post-mortem review of that issue. That said, this series came out of there, and that gets me excited, right? They're introducing a new hero in here named Torrid and a new villain named Devil Ray. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Because if you're going to do a first appearance, or if you're going to do a first issue, one of the best ways to make sure that people join in is, hey, look, here's cameo appearances of this first character. Here's a full-on appearance of this character, right? That can work. That can work really well. Black Manta is a murderer. He murders people and he's got no problems with it, right? And there's one other character who shows up in here, female. A lot of times people show a female character and that character won't really work well. It's just one of those things where, on average, look, just on average, guys are stronger than girls, right? Guy punches a girl, it's like, oh my God, arrest him. Girl punches a guy, it's like, oh, wow, what did you do to deserve that, right? Like, it's one of those kind of things. Girl punches a guy is pretty much nothing, because for the most part, it's nothing. Mind you, that doesn't count if it's a freaking Ronda Rousey or something like that, but, Ronda Rousey's are few and far between, you know what I'm saying? So, on average, like, girl punches you, you don't punch back. That's not the right thing to do. She shouldn't be punching you. But goddamn, it's overkill if you punch her back. That being said, movies that do that, they're usually pretty fun, right? Movies where the guy gets knocked out, it's like, dude, this movie sucks. Like, that guy's the biggest pussy. What? But in a case where chick punches a guy and the guy talks through it, but he's a little bit, fluffle, he's a little kerfluffed, you start thinking, this isn't good. This really isn't good, but it's Black Manta. It's like, bro, we know that Black Manta could kill pretty much anybody. Look at the bloodbath that he goes through in this comic book and the merciless killing that he does. This is his mentee and taught her well. What was the line in here? Kill with impunity. No, you taught me to kill without mercy, but not to kill with impunity. People are a resource. It's funny that they say, the time that they actually say in here, people are a resource, it's somebody yelling that, and there's a black woman right there with a kid. And it's like, oh my God, that hurts. Wow, that hurts. Hello. We had a civil war over stuff like that here in this country. Like, holy crap, dude, what are you doing? Anyway. This comic book, it doesn't hold anything back, and I loved it. Also, to finish up a thought, Black Manta dealing with the chick who punched him, Devil Ray, it's, I dug it. She showed how strong she was. There was no moment in there where I thought that she could actually beat him. But the way that I interpreted it was, if I show weakness in front of him, that's how he's going to kill me. He said for her to go away. She said no. She punched him so that she could stay, right? And the only choice that he would have had was to kill her. But I feel like he realized, no, 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 no. If I kill her, I am losing a very valuable asset. That's what I interpreted out of this. And I really, really liked this. You know what I'm saying? This isn't like Maggie punching Negan and Negan going, and falling down. What? What? Negan, going old school Walking Dead here. What? Negan is one of the baddest of the badasses. And Maggie, the widow, knocks him down with a punch? I just don't see her as being that tough. She's not a Ronda Rousey, right? In this particular case, Devil Ray, yes, she's Ronda Rousey material. and she did that as a survival method, and I loved it. If anything made this book for me, surprisingly, that was the thing. That was it. You want to establish a new character? Boom. That's how you do it. Now, there were some silly things in here. Case in point, this human flame character who, Mr. Blue, I wonder who that could be. He goes and he says, or he slices his throat. He slices the human flame's throat and says, you're more powerful than you thought, so you're a resource to me. So if you want to live, then allow your essence to go into this tiny bottle. He didn't say I'm going to use Hawkman in this case, the Absorbiscon. Go inside this little, give us some kind of a name for it. No, it's a little freaking bottle. So he says, go inside this little bottle. Maybe he was just talking down to him. It's like, I'm going to talk on your level because you're very stupid. You know what I'm saying? Wayne Brothers. Hey, stupid. And he just says, get inside this little bottle. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing ever. What is this? But it's saved because magic in the entire universe is suddenly explained in one simple sentence. Now, obviously, it's a very simplified explanation, but at the same time, think about what Albert Einstein has always tried to accomplish. And Michio Kaku, famous scientist, he explains this better than most. He says Einstein did the theory of relativity, where he just explained quantum mechanics, a thing that didn't even exist yet, explained it all, and then was able to shorten it in a little tiny 1-inch sentence, E = mc squared. You have to break that down into all its component parts to even know what to study in order to understand what E = mc squared means in the first place, right? So while this didn't explain magic, it kind of did. And it shortened it it was longer than an inch, but you get what I'm saying. It wasn't an equation. But in one sentence, he explained what magic is. And then immediately all of a sudden you see onks as they're teleporting. I'm like, I'm sold. I'm sold. This was, dare I say it, genius level. I loved the way that so much was done in this comic book. Really believable characters. Speaking on that, most characters don't deserve their own solo series. Let's be realistic. Most characters don't deserve a freaking solo series, right? I don't care how much you love the character. Most characters don't deserve their own solo series. There's a reason why they're in a team, because they suck on their own. Or at least until you've explained the character, and given them a good history, then all of a sudden you could probably make, right? If Gambit started off with what little that we had of that character in a solo series, wouldn't have done well. If you did a solo Gambit series today, it probably wouldn't do that well, right? But over time, they started realizing we've got enough history of this character, we could put him in a solo series. You know what I'm saying? Even Wolverine didn't start off solo, for crying out loud. I mean, that took forever. And Chris Claremont fought against that, That being said, Black Manta's a villain. How do you do a villain story? How do we root for the villain? I know there's a lot of people who like the Joker series, and I didn't read the Joker series, all right? And while I enjoyed the Joker movie, it is a movie about a bad guy. And when you think about that, there was no protagonist in that movie. I mean, the person moving the story forward was obviously the Joker, but we were following the villain, right? That's a really weird thing to do. And maybe nowadays where everybody's so sardonic and everybody thinks, no, anti-villain's the only way to go, and the Harry Potter characters are few and far between, right? We can't see a character like Bilbo Baggins or Sam Gamgee and say, a hero, a pure-hearted hero, this is what's going to actually defeat the bad guys. It's very rare to see something like that nowadays, right? You got Wolverines and Punishers and Batman all over the place. And that's what everybody's modeling their heroes after. And everybody's saying Captain America and Superman, they're goody two-shoes. Who cares about them? You got to make them gritty in order to be... And you're losing what those characters are made of, right? Having a Joker series or movie or, God forbid, a television series, it's just not going to work for me, right? There's a chance you could hook me, but for the most part, it's not going to work for me. They're the bad guy. I don't root for bad guys. And I'm not rooting for Black Manta in here. There's only a 6-issue limited series, which I'm sure helps the situation a lot. Because ultimately, we've got to see him lose. But he should have some kind of a moral victory at the end. There should be something that he gains at the end of it, right? You remember the Mephisto-verse series way back in the day? 4 issues of Mephisto-verse. First, it was Mephisto versus the Fantastic Four. Then versus, I think they did the X-Factor, then the X-Men, and then the blah, 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 blah. Actually, I think they did X-Men, then X-Force, X-Factor, excuse me. And then they did Avengers versus the Avengers, right? All 4 of those, they were amazing comic books. But the person moving the story forward was Mephisto. How did that work? And eventually Mephisto had to lose in the end, right? Yes, he did. But Mephisto was playing the long game. And at the end, the whole idea, oh, wait, I'm not going to tell you that. Because you should definitely read those issues. You should go back on the Marvel app, Marvel Insider, all that good stuff, and you should look that stuff up. But something has to be gained at the end while losing. And that's very hard to do. Black Manta is one of those characters who you can actually do that with, right? Look, nobody wants to read a Dr. Octopus story, right? Because he's just not worth it. Now, when he's trying to act like a hero and you have the Superior Spider-Man, that's one of the greatest comic books I've ever read. My favorite Spider-Man comics are actually with Dr. Octopus. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, like the Superior Spider-Man was amazing. You can't touch that with a 10-foot pole with spider webs all over it. You can't. But Dr. Octopus on his own, not trying to be the hero, usually not worth it. Dr. Doom on his own, not trying to be a hero, usually not going to be that good. There's only but so much you could do when you know that the guy's going to fail. He's got to fail at the end. And if he wins at the end, it's like, well, the bad guy just won. Right? There's something... It goes completely against the nature of storytelling in and of itself. There's a reason why they say there are only 7 kinds of stories out there. You know what I'm saying? And 3 different formats of writing them. First, second, and third person. There's only but so many kinds of stories you can tell. And the idea of inventing an 8th kind is nigh impossible for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like, good luck. Good luck. The Bard himself, William Shakespeare, couldn't do that. But some bloke who's writing a comic book is going to? I highly doubt it, right? So there's only but so much that you can do in that vein, in that context. So having a villain as the main protagonist, hard to do and keep it good. But Black Manta is one of those characters who you can do that with. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He's a villain. He kills people. He murders people dead. You know what I'm saying? And he steals, he kills, he goes after the good guys. You know what I'm saying? At least with somebody like the Punisher, it's like, I won't shoot a police. I don't necessarily agree with what you do and things like that, but, or I don't necessarily, just think like all police are good or whatever. No. But I won't shoot a police because you are supposed to be the good guy. You know what I'm saying? I won't shoot a cop. Like, there's at least those rules there. Black Manta doesn't have those kinds of rules. But there has been enough established about the character in the past that he does or can mean well. And sometimes a story can be out there just as a foil for something else. If this series is going to lead to an Aquaman story that just makes me go, yes, don't do anything with Mira right now. Mira is toxic as hell because of the Amber Heard crap that's going on. Mira right now is as toxic gets. You know what I'm saying? Nope. I would not read a Mira story right now. I can't, because I'd be seeing her there, and it's like, nope, you're evil. You're evil. But looking at this stuff, man, looking at something like this, there are several ways this could go. You could say, I'm gonna he's gonna gain something at the end, even though he's gotta lose. If he wins, it just ruins everything. He loses, but he gains something that nobody else but him really understands just how valuable that is. Or he fails in a way that he still technically succeeds. Okay, you fail the big thing that, was, I'm going to do this thing. Okay, but you failed at that. But subvertly, he had something else that big thing was the distraction. And there's a small thing that he wanted instead. Oh, now I've got my own underground civilization. Remember who's trying to do that? Like, oh, I've got an African-American civilization underwater. Turns out that's not really what he wanted. He was a bad guy anyways. Like, I don't care about those people. That was just the big kerfluffle. That was a big thing. I'm just like, haha, look, this big thing. I'm not such a bad guy, right? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. And you killed Aquaman's son. That's messed up. But if there's something smaller that he winds up gaining, and that's the thing that he really wanted, the big grandiose thing was just the distraction. This is the thing that he was actually trying to do. Now suddenly, you've got something, and especially if that turns around and leads to something that we see later on, vis-a-vis an Aquaman story. That's how this could work. Maybe there's another way to make it work also that I'm just not thinking about right now. But those are the two main things that I'm looking forward to happening as this series goes on. If issue number 2 is as fantastic as this first issue was to me, boom, I'll do a review on it. If not, then it's just like, oh, yeah, it was good. I wonder what the next issue is going to look like. Right now, I have it in mind to read all 6 of these issues, but we'll see if I actually bother doing the reviews on it. I did the first issue. That's enough for you to say, hopefully, yeah, let me go check it out really quick, right? And their first appearances. So this first comic book in physical format should be purchased at the very minimum, right? Just this first issue, but who am I? Anyway, guys, I'm done. Oh, as far as the art in this comic book, it worked. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't fabulous. There was nothing about this art that made me go, holy crap, wow, this is amazing. And nothing that made me say, you know what I'm saying? There's some scenes in here that were a little bit blasé. But for the most part, everything in here, it's the story that's being told and the way that it's being told, it works. It fits. Okay? Would it be great if there were a better artist in this? Yeah, it would be fantastic. But at the same time, it wasn't necessary. And I can understand DC not wanting to spend that much money on it. Hell, I'm just happy that we got something that wasn't Batman. It is no disrespect against Batman, but come on. It's called DC Comics, not Batman Comics. Granted, issue number 27 is the first appearance of Batman Comics, but Detective Comics was not built to be Batman. Later on, Batman built Detective Comics, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. This was a fun comic book. I really enjoyed so much about this issue. And I would highly recommend that you go and pick this issue up. First issue in physical format at the very least. But yeah, definitely read this story, because I have a feeling this story could actually go someplace fun. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Like the video and watch an ad and all that good stuff. Class dismissed.